Hello, it's Snack from Crow's Nest, and today I'm joined by Dmitri.
What's up, guys?
Dmitri just got done getting top eight, top six to be precise, at RBET 2, season 2. It was the EU friendly time slot, and he did it with hybrid Blackwings. His first RBET top was also with hybrid Blackwings back before most people were playing Greffer. But he did it again, and he's got a pretty wild deck list. So I guess take it away, Dimitri. Let us know some things you're thinking about with this deck list.
Yeah, so the thing that I was thinking about when building this was kind of like three matchups. It was frogs, recruiters, and the mirror. Um, and the first thing for why I chose hybrid then is Blackwing wants more monsters than pure. And so the question of what monsters do you add is sort of tricky. And I think hybrid is the best way to fill those extra monster slots. I don't think Greffer's great. I don't think extra Vayus are great, but I don't think there's anything better. The reason I thought this was really good is it facilitates the three deck dev in the side because both frogs and recruiter decks, I can bring all of those in. I can deal with all of those. Um, so yeah, because of that, I was trying to build this deck as a very aggro build because I would blow out any recruiter decks that are trying to play slow. The mirror is very sacky, and against frogs, you just want to put in damage. You are entirely a burn deck against frogs. Um, so yeah, if we get to some of the weirder techs then going through, the first one's Gores. Because I'm playing no oppression, Whirlwind will often die because everyone tries to out it. And he's, pretty powerful. He's a good dude. So I think the surprise factor of him really makes him worth it in this deck when you're not on oppression, you're not on Starlight. Um, Going down, Minecon is amazing in the mirror. That's the main reason I have it. And in one of the games, I had Sirocco, summoned it, took their Sirocco with Minecon, boosted my Gale with both Siroccos, and attacked for 9,300 damage. So it goes hard in the mirror. The back row is mostly just standard good cards. You'll note I don't have Solemn. Uh, Life points are very important, especially in the mirror, and I don't want to pay half my life usually. I do have this card, and this is slightly a meme. I felt like, but the mirror, the reason the mirror is so on my mind is because Pure has the advantage in it because they have more interaction, more back row to deal with, and basically all of the same threats. And Vayus can brick in your hand. And so this card, it deals with all of the best cards in the mirror, which are Dark Armed, BrainCon, MindCon, Sirocco. And
Yeah,
so the
that's.
idea was I would side in these two. Yeah,
I
and just
think.
blow it out.
Yeah, and Gale too. I think the
Yes.
Sirocco one is something that people don't expect, but Dark Illusion can negate their opponent's Sirocco because Sirocco will target one of their own monsters. And Dark Illusion
And in
doesn't
one of
need.
the games,
Yeah, Dark Illusion doesn't need to target one of your monsters for it to be live.
yeah, in one of the games, they did Sirocco target their own Sirocco, planning to do lethal damage to me. And I activated Dark Illusion, and they had trap stun set. So like the fact that it was a counter trap saved me there. Um, yeah, just a really surprise thing. Really hard for people to play around in a lot of ways. It makes people want to hit the back row with a Monarch, hit the back row with Icarus, and when you're not placing a lot of back row, that's fine usually. Like they can't get much out of that.
Yeah, I think
The
pretty much no
Yeah,
one's
go ahead.
thinking about Dark Illusion unless they've seen it in a previous one of your matches. And that can play to
Yes.
your advantage. Just catching people off guard with anything is going to play to your advantage a lot of times.
And speaking of catching people off guard, the most heinous thing about this list, no Icarus attack. And it started out from one of my teammates wanted to practice against Blackwings, so I threw together a deck quickly because I didn't have any built, and I just forgot Icarus when building it. I got to 40 cards and I'm like, yeah, this looks good, and played with it. And then I realized halfway through the match that there were no Icaruses in there, and I did not miss it at all. Um, and what I realized is everyone against Blackwings is so traumatized by Icarus. They're playing around it every chance they get because they're expecting three and because they know it can be a big punish. And a lot of the time, you really don't need the Icarus or even don't want it because they'll keep just one card on field or something.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, so the idea here then is I'm always threatening Icarus to the max because everyone is assuming I'm running three, and they will never see any in my graveyard. But also, I can run cards that deal with problems better. Um, Things like recruiters that, they set one recruiter. I need a way to deal with that. Things like the Dark Illusion tech for the mirror. In post side, Icarus can be a very big liability because of Starlight Road, things like that, my body.
Yeah, if they're siding
And I
into
rather
those
not have that.
cards, if they're siding into like Trap Stun, My Body, Starlight Road, that like works out for you a lot of the time because they're siding into something you're not even playing.
Yes. This deck is definitely exploitative in that sense, where it works for this meta because people assume you're on Icarus because of what people side in. Um, One example of something that counters this: oppression. I realized that my only outs to oppression are heavy MST. And in one game, I got oppression flipped on me, and I was like, oh, I have one card left in deck that can out this. I'm just going to use Dad as Ukazi 800 burn because that's the best he's going to get. Yeah, so no Icarus gives you a lot less removal for that kind of stuff, for like bullshit stall stun decks on the ladder that you might face. But
Mm-hmm.
I think in like tournament settings against meta decks, Icarus doesn't end up being that useful most of the time.
Well, I was thinking another thing is if your opponent's playing around Icarus, a lot of times that means they're only committing one card to the board at a time, right? Or like, they might commit two, but the back row is just something that's chainable or something. They're not going to be setting their entire everything on the field because if they don't have a plan to use it soon, they don't want it to just be laying on the field to be hit with Icarus later, right? But
Right.
that
Yes.
means your opponent is playing slower. And that kind of feeds into exactly what you're trying to do, which is play extremely aggressively. And you're not giving up board presence by tributing off your monsters ever. So you're going crazy aggro, and they're still playing conservatively because they're worried about Icarus.
Yeah, this goes back to a conversation I was having in the Discord about um, low resource game states. I think low resource game states are very bad for Blackwings. Um, and it's because if you're trying to play the burn strategy of getting them down to 0 life points, which is usually, a good thing to do in a game, it really helps to have more cards. Like imagine chain burn with a 2 card hand. It just wouldn't work. And so Icarus ends up reducing the amount of cards in the game state significantly and makes it a lot harder for you to burn your opponent out then.
Interesting. Yeah, and you were saying earlier that you think this is like an exploitative deck. And I think you mean that in contrast to like a game theory optimal, right?
Yes. So if this is a deck that people know you are on and are teching for and planning for, it will not be good. I don't think it will. If this is a deck that nobody knows you're on, everyone's assuming you're on 3 Icarus, and nobody expects Dark Illusion, um, it's very good. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're acknowledging that it's like it's maybe not like you wouldn't bring it if everybody if it was open information, right? But so you're just trying to exploit people playing around things that don't exist. Um, and then
Yes, and not playing around things that do exist. Exactly.
right, yeah. Um, so another thing that Icarus often solves is consecrated light, but I noticed that you do have some non-darks in your side deck.
Yes. One thing, Rhoda plus DD Warrior Lady means that this is two outs essentially. I think if you're not on Rhoda, DD Warrior Lady isn't great, but having the two side cards for the one slot is very good. And yeah, five outs to consecrated in the side. I think I wasn't always siding in Dyna against decks that had it, but yeah, certainly DD Warrior Lady, Sidra put in work. Usually you have a fair amount of time against consecrated because they're spending their normal summon on a zero attack monster. And when the game slows down like that, you can often set up deck div. And if they're unconsecrated, they're usually on a lot of things that get hit by deck div.
Yeah. How do you feel about just the one crow?
So I filled up the rest of the side deck first, I think, and I
Mm-hmm.
had one slot left, and I went to look at other side decks to be like, what am I missing? And I saw that I wasn't on Crow yet. I think two Crow is probably better. I'm not a fan of three Crow in most decks. I think drawing two of it tends to be bad. In this build, I was especially wary with Crow because I can't set Crow tribute it for Icarus like
True.
most Blackwing decks
Yeah.
can.
And it doesn't answer anything
But I
on
do
field,
think
which is
one is
like,
very,
yeah. It doesn't answer anything on
yes,
field, which is like your whole idea is like applying pressure all the time.
yes. I like to deal with people's cards that they have for sure.
That does seem to be a good strategy. And also, like you were saying earlier, with heavy and MST being your only outs, like you don't even have the dust tornadoes in the side.
True. Yeah. I just am assuming that they will take out floodgates against me because they don't
Right.
work against Blackwings.
Yeah, they usually don't work when their opponent has like a bunch of Icarus and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that seems like most. What were you citing in the other Dark Illusions for, actually?
So another thing with the Dark Illusion, obviously I was citing in all three for the mirror because that's where it's best. Um, I also cited it in against Hero Beat as a way to deal with Gemini Spark. And I don't know if it's worth it in there, but it did come up and it was good, but it wasn't enough to win me the game. It really didn't come up in other matchups in practice and testing, but I would probably bring it in against frogs if they hadn't seen it game one. I think
Yeah,
you want them to not want to monarch your monsters.
that makes sense. Yeah, like just show it to scare them, and then maybe side it out after they've seen it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. That's a very powerful thing to do for sure. That's another thing with knock. That's also a card that I will side in against recruiter decks. As soon as they see it, they're going to stop setting recruiters and I'll not run it anymore. Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Oh, one last note
Mm-hmm.
is the extra deck. I took my previous hybrid extra deck that I had from months ago when building this one, and I do not know if this is optimal. Thought Ruler Archfiend and Red Dragon Archfiend are also considerations. Probably over Third Armed Wing would be the first one to go. I think you could get rid of Second Armor Master if you wanted to as well. Neither of them came up for me in any form in testing, but I could, yeah, see them being useful.
So
Um,
round one, you're against Pui, playing Dragon Turbo.
yep, you got to open Whirlwind. It's just good play.
Usually good.
I suspected Dragon Turbo, so I did this play expecting to try and just put in damage as soon as I could.
Yeah.
Um,
Putting back the Drago keeps Blizzard live.
right.
She doesn't have
That
any
was because I had
defense.
lethal here.
Yeah. That's it. Minecon
Yeah, I
seems pretty
forgot to
good
side
here.
out Gores, by the way.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Gore's not great against the Drago deck.
Yes, very much so. Especially when I
She's
side
got
in oppression too.
consecrated too, which is interesting.
And I did have Dyna in hand, but I wanted to save it for when I would also out Future Fusion.
Mm-hmm.
Minecon on Drago is also very nice.
Yeah,
Card Destruction lets me get rid of the Gores.
she's drawing many cards.
Yeah, once someone draws that many with Dragon Turbo, I sort of just assume that I'm dead.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really have anything to do here except you push as hard as possible and hope that they don't have Trunade Vortex lethal.
Yeah, I think that's what you've got.
So anyway, Trunade,
Anyways, True Nade Vortex.
yeah, Vortex.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
sure why the setting first. I don't
Yeah, me
remember
neither.
if there's a
Oh,
reason for that.
Trident. I
Oh,
guess.
it
I
was,
mean,
yeah, that's right.
you can pop it anytime, but yeah, like yeah,
Yeah. So that's just classic Dragon Turbo sacking, but this deck's more consistent and it has
it does
things like
shoot. Did you open
Just
it all
Shoot,
three
Deck
games
Dev,
or?
Minecon. I have a lot of cards that interact with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I didn't open Just Shoot the second game, but I could be wrong.
That explains why you lost.
Yeah.
Oh, she's doing the. That's like a goat meme. CC
Oh,
Kochi.
is it?
Yeah,
Is that a player or a card or what?
that's a poker player. There's a guy in Goat who has custom tokens that are
Uh,
pictures of this poker player, Sissy Kochi. So he summons all the tokens and prays to her.
okay, Shura against Drago Red Med is actually really awkward
Yeah.
because I couldn't like clear both
Mm-hmm.
and summon from deck. If I attack over the Drago, I can't kill the Red Med. If I attack over the Red Med, Drago won't let me summon. So it was a very strange position there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it still was just lethal.
Yeah. So there's Dragon Turbo. Two.
Round two against Aris. Yeah, this is the one where oppression screws me. Um,
Ah, okay, okay. Yeah, you don't have many good plays turn one here. It does
right.
stink to open the blizzards.
And oftentimes I wasn't playing anything turn one because I wanted to save my resources to burst out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so at this point, right, after the oppression gets flipped, I don't realize it yet.
Mm-hmm.
About one or two turns later, I realized that because MST is gone, because I'm not on Icarus, Heavy is the only card in deck that outs this oppression. But luckily, Dust Shoot means that I know that they don't have any sweepers or anything. Um, at least after the Mirror Force is gone.
And you draw the dad into the oppression.
Right. So here I just use Dad as 800 burn because I need to use more darks. So my graveyard will never have 3 darks again, and I'm never drawing that heavy soon enough.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it does look like a terrible play from the outside perspective for sure. Yeah, here I just have to force through the back row slowly. I know he is booked, so I can't use the Bram Con yet.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
I think that's my last Shura target. And yeah, I'm holding Brain so long because I know that this is just eventually lethal. Like, I really feel like it's so inevitable, I'm not worried.
Mm-hmm. So we have the
Wars is
gears here.
also very strong.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Oh, that's exactly what I was saying was gores.
Yes.
So you do play the whirlwind,
Right.
hoping that he's gonna get rid of it. Maybe.
Every deck's going to try and out that whirlwind as
Mm-hmm.
soon as possible.
Yeah.
Except like frogs, I guess. Sometimes they don't care.
Interesting. Oh, hit the Starlight Road.
It was weird to me that he hit both of the other back row, but not
Yeah.
the whirlwind. But
Hmm.
yeah.
Pretty good mirror force for him there.
Yes. Also a very good dust shoot because he got to see the gores.
Hmm.
But now I'm out of good things to do, and he's just gonna have to play around gores for a long time.
You just drew the Dark Illusion.
Yep. Foreshadowing. Okay, this is a very cool interaction, by the way. BrainCon, steal the Shura, attack in, summon a tuner, synchro. I was very hopeful that that would resolve, but
Yeah, that would have been really neat. That you could actually use their Shura as effect.
yes.
So he knows
Here I
his
just
Gores
have
is
to summon the
coming.
Gores. Yeah. But because of Kalut, Sirocco boosts, I can't hold the Gores any longer.
Right. You know Mirror Force is gone, which is nice.
Yes. And I also know that that's not a sweeper, or at least I suspect so, because of how long and how much he was playing around Gores. Um, so I'm just like, yeah, I can go all in. I'll be fine. In this position, I have 3,500 life points, two Blackwings on field, right? So I'm
Hmm.
thinking about what cards kill me. Dark Armed, not live. Well, actually, it is. It is live. Dark Armed would not be great, but he will prio target a monster,
Hmm.
probably the Gores. I can
Right.
chain Dark Illusion.
Can I see
That'll
your
be fine.
grave here?
Yeah.
So yeah, you only have one bottomless gone. So yeah, definitely don't
Yep.
want to. And like no
A lot of
oppression in
battle traps.
your. Well, I guess oppression wouldn't matter, but yeah,
Yeah, it's
because of the
likely
threat of
sided out at this
bottomless.
point.
Yeah, because of the threat of bottomless, he's gonna target a monster first, in all likelihood.
Right. BrainCon also possibly could kill me in some way. Dark Illusion, or get him to Black Rose, which would be a problem. Dark Illusion saves me from that. And the, of course, Sakius card in the mirror, Sirocco.
Hmm.
So it comes up. This would have been lethal.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty
the back
hilarious.
row is Trapstone. It is the one card that needs a counter trap here. So like Book of Moon would have done the same, Solemn Judgment would have done the same, but I really like that the interaction came up.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, actually, Aris mentioned something really neat there, which is pre-flipping the stun. Normally, you don't have to do that unless you're worried about specifically Solemn or if they have like two back row. So into one back row, you can normally hold the trap stun and chain it. And if it's something like Icarus, for example, then they have to lose their monster for no benefit, right?
Yeah, he was asking afterwards, would I Icarus uh tribute a Blackwing, target Trapstun, and a Blackwing if he used it early, just so that Sirocco Kalut would not be lethal.
Yeah, that's very
And
interesting.
I don't know if I would do that. Probably, but I'm not on Icarus, so I don't really have to care about that question.
True. All right, so now we made it to round three. We're still in
Yes.
winner's bracket. Sabers,
Yeah,
that's
so here,
interesting.
uh Heavy Storm, Minecon, Whirlwind, Shura,
Yeah,
Dust
it's
Shoot.
pretty disgusting.
Insane hands.
Interesting. Just going for anything you can synchro with. I guess that's only
Yeah, I
seven.
can't synchro into anything else
Right.
there.
Oh my gosh, drawing BrainCon too.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You just play a lot of limited cards, you can
Okay,
just
this
draw
is
them all.
interesting. They've got
Yeah, so
Gravekeepers.
Hero's like, I'm actually down now. After all that amazing
Yeah.
open, like he's at, 6 cards. I'm down to 2, right?
Hmm.
Uh hits that, hits the
Oh
break god.
no.
So now I am sad.
This is
Post
not
that.
good.
Yeah, I feel like it's over. I really do. I knew he had torrential from Dust Shoot before, so I felt like I needed to try and out
Yeah.
that
Try and find
first.
the torrential with the MST.
Right. Knew he had the MST, but nothing else I could do there.
Wow.
Somehow that won.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
pack. Yeah, that I just like to. Okay, I guess that worked. It's
Yeah.
one of those games. I like Warrior Lady here. Definitely good in the matchup.
Not good versus Spy. That was the rough one.
No, but I mean, at least it's something that outspy. It can be sometimes it can be hard to find something that outspy in Blackwings even.
Yep. Yeah, I was debating what to play around there. Um,
Ooh,
I went for the Armed Wing because I wanted to have the high level monster to go with Vayu, and because I wouldn't be able to make it later if I had to use oppression.
so
Yeah,
were you
book's a
just trying to
massive punish
crash
there.
the value into your grave there when you were attacking into the
The
spy?
Spy was halved.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I knew book was a massive punish going into that play. I probably shouldn't have done that play, but I didn't really
I don't know what your other option is. Just kind of set value, I guess.
set value, do nothing,
Yeah,
keep it in hand. Like, no play really seemed good there. So I was sort of going for the high roll
yeah.
option.
I kind of agree with you. Like when you're down, you might as well try and high roll. Okay, do
Deck
you?
dev is great
Yeah.
because of how high resource game state this is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually perfectly fine with how this is going at this point.
This
Um,
is
Book
great.
on Sirocco is amazing.
Yeah.
Perfectly timed, by the way, that he
uh,
gets to cold wave
yeah.
as soon as I get to
Yeah.
that.
And now he doesn't have any plays,
Yeah,
Wow, with the
I know
cat
his
in
hand.
hand too, ripping
Yep. Yeah.
right when he's about to go off. Yeah.
He does have brain smashing ground. Um, oh yeah, I messed up there. Summoned Sirocco when he had no monsters. So we had to
Gotcha.
undo that.
Ooh. This
Yeah, I
is
do
pretty
that just
nice
because
though.
it's still really good damage. And now Brain was dead.
R.I.P.
Yeah, that deck dev was so strong this tournament. It was honestly the main reason I played Blackwings was just to play deck dev.
And so this is another Blackwing mirror, right?
Yes, and I'm not sure if they were on hybrid or pure. I think they were on pure.
Mm-hmm. So we're in round
Multiple Yada.
4 here, I think.
Um, we're in on my fourth match, but it was round 5 because my first opponent didn't show. Yes.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay.
The amount of times I've drawn Whirlwind too, very good card.
Yeah, it's nice to draw a whirlwind. That's for sure. And the double yada is interesting.
Yeah, so this is a case Icarus trades 2 for 2, which is fine, but it's not like a necessary card when you're just trading evenly. More limited cards, Dad BrainCon,
Yeah.
plus the Blizzard. I really just had it all. I felt like that game.
Yeah, it's just gonna happen. Anytime you go on a tournament run, like you're gonna be drawing well. It's very hard to go on a run while drawing poorly.
True. Yes. Dark Illusion here again. Love to see it.
Yeah, as you're saying, you sided in against the Blackwing mirror.
So this is probably the best case Icarus, right? Is you're trading for the two best cards in the matchup
Mm-hmm.
with a card that wants to be engraved plus
Yeah,
Icarus.
right.
Um, Still didn't feel that insane. Like I could have done other plays to try and play around it. I could have just set a Dark Illusion kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing, so that when he targets the Sirocco, I would be able to chain it. But I was completely fine with that interaction, to be honest.
Yeah, there it is. That's pretty
Dark
funny.
Illusion on the book. Yeah, so start BP made me expect another battle trap, but since I have back row, I'm sort of fine with it.
Warrior Lady's really good here.
Yes. And Deep Prison as well trades
Mm-hmm.
well with this field. Yeah, low resource Blackwing Mirror. This is 100 higher than I can collude, I think. Maybe it was more than that.
Drew the Warrior
No, it was
Lady
more
again,
than
which
that.
is nice. Of course, at this point, they
Yeah.
might be thinking that it is Warrior Lady. Oh, maybe
Yeah,
not.
so this is a case, it's a lot of damage, but it still gets a, even trade in. And it
Nice.
lets
That's
me do a
disgusting.
much
Yeah.
larger problem. Yeah. This is single attack OTK.
Wow.
And this is one of the reasons that Pure is actually better, I think, is because it has more defense to stop this kind of thing in general.
Hmm.
But yeah, I was so happy that came up. That was so
He might
cool.
have been siding. He might have sacrificed on some of the defense for the Yadas.
This is the match to get into top eight. This is against Quick Draw,
Okay.
although I had not seen Quick Draw at all up to this point, so I wasn't sure if it was just like a debris plant deck.
Right. Deck dev is usually really good in this matchup.
Yes. It's good in basically every matchup that you don't enjoy game one,
Mm-hmm.
which is a really nice coincidence. Turn one here, I did not summon the Shura, notice, just because I want the cards in hand to be able to burst out, and I don't really care if it gets bottom list. I have tons of backup monsters. They're on a slow deck.
Did you know this was quick draw
Hamster made me
going
sad.
in to the match? Or
I knew the rest of the deck, kind of. I knew the plant stuff. I knew the
gotcha.
Raikou engine. I knew the debris, but I did not see quick draw itself. Yeah, here it feels surprisingly even for how far down on board I was,
Mm-hmm.
just because dad.
Yeah. It's good cards. We're drawing good cards today.
That's the goal. I build a lot of my decks with the goal of drawing good cards. I'll shoot deck diff.
Yeah.
More sacking. So I deck dev, and there's only one monster bigger than
Yeah, that's
uh
hilarious.
all right, yeah, bigger than deck dev hits. So take that back. Don't let him Raikou. Now he has two Avarice and they're not live.
That's so disgusting.
Yeah,
Okay, he drew the
I
Caius, but
think
now it's too late.
right. Now it doesn't matter.
Another Caius.
And another one.
So just nothing to do. Oh my
Yep.
god. That's brutal.
Yep. Yeah, deck dev brutalized people this whole tournament.
Yeah, the three deck dev really does appear to be paying
That's
off. So now we're on
this
day
is
two,
the
top
start of
eight.
top eight.
Winner's side
Yes.
still. This is against a true hero, very well, very accomplished player, also a YouTuber. Can you show buff real quick?
Yes. Um yeah, this is a matchup I hadn't played it since about a year ago. It had been a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And the deck had changed a fair amount since then. So I really was not sure how best to play it. And I don't think I played it well. Yeah, shoot hurts a lot with that hand. Gale was like holding the whole hand together because nothing else outs the android.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the arm doesn't really accomplish much.
Yeah, this is just um, dust shoot going first kind of thing.
Yeah, that's not gonna help. You had to
Yep.
bottomless to stay alive, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah, that was just the main reason of my bottomless there was to hope for more information coming out. This is another funny one, right?
Yeah.
Is consecrated is just a -1 into DD Warrior Lady,
Mm-hmm.
which happened multiple times in testing and came up in the tournament. And notice too with a hand like this, right? Consecrated, Diva, Prodigy, Diva, Treeborn. 5 cards that deck dev hits.
Yeah, that's pretty
And
crazy.
this, yeah, doesn't really help him stay out of that. I don't think I should have bottomless there because of
Really?
return.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, I know he's on return because I've
Right.
seen his previous lists. I don't think he's on Call of the Haunted.
Yeah, and he just returned last game too.
Yes.
Yeah, you're probably right to hold the bottomless and just let it get destroyed there.
Yeah.
That's a
Cast a
nice
Tarantula
torrential.
before the Stardust. Search is consecrated. But here, I just go for game.
Nice to be able to kill through the gores.
Yeah, it really felt like consecrated was bad for him there.
This hand looks
Here,
nice.
okay, this is interesting because DD Warrior Lady was the only tool I could be aggressive with. And um I really wanted to save it because it was my only out to consecrated.
So you didn't want to. Couldn't you go Gref or pitch Sirocco? Or.
This turn I can.
Okay.
Last turn I couldn't.
I see what you're saying.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
right. So I do the Rhoda planning on doing that option. And then I realized that Sirocco is my only good whirlwind target here.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Greffer beats means he has to respond with a monster at some point, which
Mm-hmm.
means I will be able to Sirocco whirlwind. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm planning. I don't think it was right. I think the pitching Sirocco was better to put more pressure on.
Wait.
Horrors,
So
by the way,
wait. Here's a thought.
yeah.
Um, it's probably correct to wait until the battle. But did you think about dropping it on the burn or?
I did. And the reason I didn't is because game one or game two, I think game one, he made Android and hit in to my empty board,
Mm-hmm.
which is 100 damage more than just going Diva Gilman
Right.
and plays into Gores.
Mm-hmm. So you.
So I knew
Yeah.
Gores was not on his mind to the point where he's choosing 100 damage over it.
Yeah.
So here I'm just like, yeah, he's going to hit in with the Caius. I'll just get the extra damage or the bigger token. Yeah, that hurt. That brain hurt a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we do have a whirlwind there, and it eats a consecrated, which is decent.
Yeah, so the Gores token was light, which would have outed the
Yeah.
consecrated. I don't think either of these stopped it. No. So yeah, he had to. And this is a thing with Blackwings. Another reason why I should have pitched the Sirocco. Now I'm stuck on all normal summons,
Right.
which is a real problem here.
Yeah, I've experienced this too, where you just kind of
Yeah.
have a bunch of normals, and if they just
You
keep
really
dealing
want a
with
lot of
them,
monsters.
yeah.
You don't want to be stuck on normals. It's a really hard balance to get to.
Mm-hmm.
I think I topped a normal summon like 4 turns in a row is another thing.
Yeah, and they just keep
Maybe it
having.
wasn't quite that much.
They just keep having answers to your normals, and so you just can't ever get into the game because you don't. That's all you have. It's like one play per turn.
Right. Building a deck that doesn't lose to getting bottomless the first two turns is definitely something I was thinking about. And another reason that I think Greffer is very useful. So yeah, that was my first loss.
We were still in winner side until that match, so now we're in losers as the top six, trying to get into top four. I think.
Yes. I'm against Hero Beat, which I knew was the deck's worst matchup. And I knew that,
That's a bad opening hand too.
yeah, especially getting dust shooted. So
Yeah.
he knows how bad it is.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
knows none of my cards do anything.
Right.
Then he wind blasts. So he knows next turn my cards do nothing.
Yeah, this is just like this is super game over.
Yeah. I try and cause problems here. Um, yeah. Mainly I was hoping to see more cards, but didn't really get to. So this is one of those cases of I struggle with how best to play this deck when you have back row that deals with things plus Siroko's, right? Or a monster that deals with something.
Yeah.
Because if I summon the DD Warrior Lady, he summons a monster, hits in, they both get banished.
And then
Sirocco
Soroka's
still
still
isn't alive,
dead. Yeah.
right? So you pretty much have to take a hit to summon Sirocco
Right.
against a lot of aggro decks, which is another reason Solemn is so bad in those
Oh,
matchups.
Honest is so miserable too.
Right. On it, I was like, okay, he has to summon something to hit me, and then he summons the one thing that I can't Sirocco against.
Yeah. I think Soroka's normally really good in the matchup too because it actually hits over the alias, which can be a real problem.
Yes. Yes. The slowness of it is definitely a liability for brickiness and stuff.
For sure.
But yeah. Okay. This is funny, right? So he set five. I knew
Uh-huh.
one would be Starlight. I had watched his last game, and that was the position where he set Starlight against his last opponent. So I just assume it's there.
That's really funny.
Apparently, he shuffled his hand and set them in the order that he drew them, which meant that Divine Providence was on my side.
So we know
Yeah,
about the
he
Honest.
attacks. I Mind Crush Honest.
This is great because since it's an RBET, you get to rip the Honest that you know about, and you get to see the rest of the hand since there's only one
And
accounted for.
he's attacking.
Right.
So
Yeah.
he's gonna lose the alias too. Gemini Spark. This is where Dark
Amazing.
Illusion is.
That's so
It's not
amazing.
as good as you would expect
Really?
because he's losing the alias anyway in this
That's true.
situation.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. That is true.
So it's just a one for one that it ends up being.
Still nice to have. Not many things can stop Gemini Spark.
True.
That
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
feel
another
good.
case of having to take damage
Oof.
to Sirocco. And here, third Sirocco, right? I couldn't put pressure on in this game state where we're both searching for a
Right.
monster.
Yeah. This is this happens for sure. Where you finally have the opening and you can't press the advantage. Oof.
Yeah, there's a chance that I could have done something to stay in this game longer, but it it was really hard to figure out um
Yeah.
when to try and press, when to out his things and make my own Sirocco's dead, when to take damage.
Yeah.
It's definitely a matchup that requires practice.
Well, I think it's a definitely a
Yeah.
good run that you had. So
Yeah, glad I made it to top eight. Um,
got to show
a
off
lot of
your
cool tech came
crazy
up.
your crazy deck building philosophies. Got the world gets to know.
Yeah. Uh, Sack with deck dev too. That was also fun.
Yeah. Draw brain con. Draw dust shoot. Good.
Right. That's my advice. If you're looking to get better, draw dash shoot.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have anything
Yeah,
to
me
add
neither.
about these or the deck.
Some
This was
cool
fun though.
plays. All right. I guess I probably just stop recording now. Wait. Actually,
Yeah, I mean, unless you want to outro it some
yeah,
way.
let me record an outro. Actually, yeah. So
Or we can just have this awkward conversation about an
that could,
outro be the outro.
yeah, we can just discuss recording an outro instead of actually recording one. Um,
Right. Or
yeah,
discussing recording an
we
outro
could do that as
as
well.
the outro.
We could talk. I mean, like I
Yeah.
could talk about watching other videos on the channel or doing all
Could
that.
talk about smashing that like button and
Yeah.
subscribing.
Anyways,
Yeah.
thanks so much, Dimitri. uh,
Yeah.
and keep representing the team well. All right.